All right, we should be live, hopefully. There we go. All right, let me go hit the button here on Amazon. And we'll let this kind of spin up here and we'll get to work. It's one of my afternoon work sessions. We haven't looked at UPSs. I have a feeling this is going to open up another one of those cans of worms that we find ourselves running into, because there's a lot of choice and depth to this class of products. I'm just cutting the sticker off of it here. And it can get confusing, especially this one, because this is one that I I got this through Amazon through the Vine program, in full disclosure. This came in free of charge, but I didn't have any connection with the company here. And you can read more about the Amazon Vine thing on my disclaimers page, which is in the video description. But this is like one of those things where you can try to extract more profit margin when you put the word gaming on your product. So this is a 1500 VA UPS. And you can often find these for less than what this one is selling for. In some cases, it's like $100 or more less. But this one's geared to gamers. So I figured we would take a look and see what the premium gets you. It weighs about 40 pounds. It's like super heavy. Super, super heavy. So make sure you've got adequate back braces on when you play around with it. So let's say good morning or good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, to some of our friends who dial in from all over. We have William Wilkinson here joining us. We have Dava. We have Ayan. We have Joe from North Carolina. Romeric is here, I believe from Paris, if I'm not mistaken. Andy G is here. Recipe Bob is here. Sup with you? Joe's got a cyber power for his PC and Synology. Yes, that's what I have, actually, over on the floor over there. I've got a cyber power. Actually, it's funny, the cyber power that I have is the same power as this one. And so I have my production computer running off of that. And I actually have UPSs all over the house because we have a backup generator at the house now. So when the power goes out, the generator kicks on automatically, but you have like a 20 to 30 second period where there's no power. So the UPSs keep everything running until it kicks over. So I've got one, I have an APC actually in my equipment closet powering all the switches and everything. I've got the cyber power here on this. Basically any of my expensive equipment has one of these on there, because in addition to the power backup, these do have some degree of surge protection built in. Although if you get hit with like lightning or something, you got to throw them out after you get hit, because apparently there's some kind of ablative material that gets burned away or something. So, you know, they're good for protection, but if you get hit by lightning, get a new one. Ed Chin is here. Hello, Ed. Dan Shop is here. YT Commentator is here from Nicaragua. Awesome, South America. I love the icon. That's the Winamp icon, I think, right? Nick is here from Missouri. Andy G says pro gaming and RGB. Yes, that's right. There is RGB lights on here. It's not configurable though. It just tells you your status. So it's usually green, but right, you got to have the lights. Just like in cars, yellow means performance, as they used to say, right? If you made your car yellow. Don Spew is from South Carolina. YT's got a Forza Gaming with pure sine wave, half the cost of other brands, and it works just fine. Yeah, that's it. You know, it's one of those things where you can pay a premium sometimes because of the gaming thing. We'll find out. The Node's been thinking about a UPS. So he came in right at the right time. The algorithm's doing its thing. Heffen is here. Says, oh nice, I was thinking a relaxed stream would be cool right now. Yeah, we'll keep it relaxed unless the thing explodes. Now that was the other thing. On the Amazon listings for this, the reviews were saying that it was exploding. Apparently the early versions of this had a bad firmware and the batteries were exploding, or the electronics were exploding. So we'll see if this one hopefully has the updated firmware. I have a feeling they released a bunch of these to Amazon Vine because they fixed it, so we'll see what happens. Milo is here from Norway. Mark H is here. Good morning to you. Fernando is here from Mexico. And Francis is here. Hello. I wish I could speak languages other than my native English, because I would love to speak more Spanish. Unfortunately, I've never been good at learning languages. I can barely speak the one that I have, but I think my daughter might be good at that. She really loves Spanish. All right, so let's take a look at the box here. And like I said, this thing weighs about 40 pounds. And we've got some instructions here on setting it up. So you got to make the power connections when we first get going. And then it tells you to plug in your router and gaming console, and then press and hold the center button to turn it on. So I guess that makes sense. You'd want to plug in everything before you start. And then you've got your little documentation here, user manual. So there is a data cable. So these typically will report back to some software. Now, if you've got like a Synology or one of those WD NASs, they do have, I know my Synology has this, a feature where if the UPS is running for a certain length of time, it'll begin a proper shutdown. So if you're not home when it goes, the computer can shut down based on a signal from the UPS. Because this is not like a generator. It's going to keep you going for, depends on what it is. So actually they have some times here on the side of the box. So I'll pull up this view here. So what they're saying here is your Nintendo Switch, now of course it has a built-in battery too, but it would run 35 minutes based on 180 watts of power consumption. And I doubt you're consuming that much on a Switch. The Xbox One, they say about 20 minutes. PlayStation 4, 16. This is based on the maximum wattage, so depending on what you're drawing. Gaming PC drawing 475 watts, 10 minutes. So you gotta get it shut down quickly. Or if you have a backup generator like I do, it's enough to keep you on until the thing kicks over. All right. Dan Shop says, exploding is not very relaxing. No, it tends not to be. Hopefully it doesn't do that. Inglés, yes, I can speak English. Barely. For sure. YT's been shopping around for a UPS. I've got some options here from APC, but they're around $650. Wow, that's expensive down there for a 1,400 watt unit. The battery is lead acid. I'm not seeing many lithium ones out there. APC had a couple of them, but everyone's sticking to the lead acid. And this thing weighs a ton, by the way. It's like 40 pounds. Zoran says, if you got the gaming mouse and keyboard, go with the gaming UPS. Absolutely. Mark, yes, the battery is replaceable. In fact, to get it working, you've got to expose the battery. So we'll take a look at that right now and see what we got. So we got a nice big thick cable here. Now this is the USB data cable for the signaling. So we'll play with that in a minute. Now let's get it out of the box here. It is well protected. Oh my goodness. Like I said, this thing weighs a ton. It is 30, the box, like the package is like 38 pounds. So it is not light. Okay. Oh my goodness. I just squished my finger. That did not feel good. All right, so let me get the box out of the way here. I'll just toss it over there for now. It's the one problem with this job is I have too many boxes. All right, let's take a look here. I mean, I'll give them this much. The industrial design is attractive. And I'll stand it up on the desk here so you can see what it looks like. Like I said, this thing is heavy. Let me pull the shot back here a little bit. So it's big, but that's how big these things typically are. And it's got that plastic that you love to pull. Oh, isn't that nice? So it's a lot bigger than its picture lets on. I would say it's like almost as big as like a mini PC tower, right? Like it is large and in charge here. Now, in order to get this to work, William's asking, is it, yeah, so this will give you power, and it will clean your power. So we'll do what most UPSs do. How many kilowatt hours is it? I am not sure. This is a 1500 VA, and I'm not sure what that translates into kilowatt hours. So somebody in the chat can give us a conversion. And Travis says that they have the PowerShoot software for desktops for safe shutdown. Maybe we'll play around with that. Greg says that the lead-acid batteries provide better amperage and maintain power longer and more readily available should they need to be replaced. That's true. Yeah, these are very easy to get replacements on there. Mark wants to know, can you add an auxiliary battery? I don't think so. I don't think it's got support for that. Although I guess you could probably put it in sequence, right? I'm not a battery expert, but we'll have to see. Andy G says it looks like old modern. Yeah, it kind of looks like an older 90s desktop, doesn't it? And Zorian says a chunky boy. And there's some answers on the power there. Yeah, this is like your standard 1500 VA UPS. So I've got one on my production computer from Cable Matters, and I've got another one, actually an APC, that is in my equipment room for the routers and stuff. Now what we have to do here, here's the batteries, by the way. So it looks like it's got 2 batteries in sequence, and these are, like it tells us the voltage on these things, but there's a sticker running across the 2. But that's what you got here, and then this just plugs into this terminal here. The terminal, though, is not keyed, so I'll have to look at the box again just to make sure I get it hooked up correctly. Take a look at the user's manual here. I'm guessing it just goes in like that, but I just want to make sure before I set the house on fire. Okay, lay the UPS with the door facing up. Connect the red wire as shown. So it looks like it goes that way. Boy, they don't give you much of an image here either. It's so tiny, you can't even see it. We'll just plug that in like this. I'm assuming that's all it takes. We'll find out when we turn it on. Okay. So that is in. And that's all you got to do to get it started. All right, let's get this going here. So Greg says the higher end APCs do allow for auxiliary battery packs to extend runtime. Yeah, I don't see where they have that. I don't think it's an option on this one. I think it's strictly what you get inside. That's why, like, I'm having a hard time with the price point on this. So I'm trying to figure out, like, what's the value proposition beyond the other ones that cost far less than this one does. Because I paid about half, not half, I think I paid $100 less for a similar one with the same amount of battery power. And I'll show you what it's got for connectors on it here in a second. Let's get this flat back down here. It doesn't really slide back in all that nicely. It wants me to pull this up. Let's see. Just take these off. Actually, those are on there to pull the batteries out, I think, if you want to take the batteries out, because this is all connected now. But I'll tell you this much, though. I did have on my CyberPower, I'm on my second one because the first one I had, we had a power outage, and then like after the power outage, the batteries were like bulging. So they let me send it back on a warranty thing. Trying to figure out how to get this back in. This slides in maybe. These battery doors never go in nicely. There's always a catch to it. Okay, so there we go. Now if you want to see what it's got for ports on board, I'll show you that, and then we'll plug it in. So on the back here, and there's a couple things I'm not crazy about, and I'll tell you which ones, what I'm thinking here. So you do have a network, RJ45 network connector in the back here, but it is rated for 1 gig only. So if you've got multi-gig like I do, not gonna cut it. But you would get some surge protection, I would assume, against the rest of the network if you got it plugged in there. You do have coax for your cable TV. It's kind of funny that's still on there. You get a grounding screw here, circuit breaker, and then you've got, actually it's kind of neat, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 battery surge protected ports. So this and this will run off the battery when the power goes out, and then these 4 are surge only. So these would not be battery backed up. But it's got a few more ports than some of these other ones do. And then on the front, you have 3 USB ports for charging your devices. And you need to decide whether or not that's worth all that money to get that capability, although it's nice to have it, right? So that's a good thing to have on there. All right, so let's plug it in. Let's see if my cable will reach to the wall. And we'll give this a go. It's got a thing around there. And let me go visit the outlet over here. And if something should happen, you all have really made my life complete. And I hope that we'll see each other again one day. Here we go. Okay, it is plugged in. It's lighting up. And it looks like we are okay. And I think the battery is actually fully charged. I'll give you an overhead view of the display here. So I guess it's, well, you can change the color of the light here. So there's a light. It's not very bright though. But it looks like the battery is fully charged. There's no load on it right now, obviously. That's the one thing these higher-end UPSs can provide, is you do get the ability to see what you're drawing, and that's been helpful. I have found this to be a very useful thing. So for example, right now, this is giving me all the same information my other APC does, just a larger display. So if I were to look at my cyber power right now, which is powering this computer, and you can't see this, but I'm just looking at it just for my own edification. My computer is currently drawing, let's see, about 100 and, okay, so it's drawing about 180 watts right now. And that's doing the broadcast. And so this UPS that it's plugged into, which is the same as the one we're playing with here, will give me about 40 minutes before it conks out. And this one right now is basically because there's nothing plugged into it. It's telling us 180. And you can see the load there is pretty much nil. So what we're going to do now is, because this is a gaming thing, the batteries are fully charged because it's showing me full charge. We're going to plug in an Xbox, because this is for gamers, right? So why not do the Xbox thing? So we're going to plug a monitor in, and we're going to plug a Xbox in and see what it does. So let me go get the monitor. Why don't you talk amongst yourselves? And you can look at the beautiful display here. And we'll see. Yeah, it's got a mute button. I guess if you don't want to hear the siren going off. I'm not sure what this must turn on the display. This display will turn off after a while. And apparently the green means that you have more than 50% battery on it. So let me go get the monitor. And this monitor I have not, or this Xbox I haven't plugged in weeks, so we're going to do an update on it. And that might give us a good idea as to the load. Might be kind of fun to see what the monitor draws, right? And it's got a red light in the back. And I don't know if you can configure the lighting on this thing. We'll find out. So here is my monitor. we'll see what we've got here. So let me just get the desk configured. This desk is not very big. So when I have big things like this, it's usually hard to get everything to fit. And you probably want to see part of it too. So let's see if I can get, maybe what I'll do is I'll put the UPS behind it because you could still see on the overhead, even though you can't see it well here, you can see it there. So let's back out the screen here a bit. And we'll get the Xbox on the desk. Sorry, that was my overhead rig here kind of shaking a little. This place is in need of a dire makeover before something explodes. And we'll get that going. All right, let me take a few questions here. Enjoy my coffee. So William wants to know how long would it take to charge your phone? So it's going to charge at the same rate as other stuff would. What I don't know is what the amperage, the USB amperage is coming out of those ports. So that's something we'll have to explore. My hope would be that it would deliver, that you would get the full 2 amps out of it. And I'll have to explore that and see, because I don't have a phone that is dead at the moment, so I can't really draw the full 2 amps out. Now I'm going to plug the monitor into the battery and surge port here on the back. And we'll see when that plugs in, because the monitor is going to come on initially. And we'll see what kind of load we're under now, just to get a sense as to that. I'm not sure how accurate this load predictor is, because it's saying 0 watts right now. But there should be some load on it, because the monitor's on. Let me pull this off, because you can't see anything. Yeah, it's not registering any load from the monitor at all, which is kind of weird, because the monitor is not completely off. All right, let me get the Xbox, and we'll see if that changes the dynamic here on that one. All right, so let me go grab the Xbox, and we'll plug that in. I mean, this is for gamers after all, so we gotta play it out. And this should probably draw a little bit more power. So we got our Xbox. This is my Xbox One X that will plug in. And where did the power cord go? Let me find all that. We connected it to the UPS socket. It may not be like a real-time monitor, maybe, I don't know. But it's definitely in one of the battery surge connectors there. And we'll have to check and see if there's any kind of software, for configure. Oh, geez, that's not good. We'll have to see if there's any software for configuring the lights on it. Let's see if I can find the power cord. Here it is. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to take this power cord and we're going to plug it into the back. Oh, that's not going to work. Hang on. I got to find the right cord here. Hang on a second, everybody. I had another cord over here a second ago, but I seem to have misplaced it. This one will work. So Mark wants to know, do I have a computer that runs off of USB? I do not at the moment, but that would be a good way to test it, wouldn't it? Let's see. I got a big gash on my Xbox there. I don't know how that happened. All right, so let's plug this around the back here, and we'll plug that in there. I'm just going to grab my network cable here, and we're going to do a little Ethernet action. This Xbox hasn't been powered up in months, so it is likely in need of an update, which actually might be a good way to see how its power does. So let's plug this in, and we'll pair up my controller here. Oh, I got to get the monitor connected too. And we'll go to, these older Xboxes have those two HDMI outputs on it, so we got to plug it into this one here. Okay, there we go. All right. So now we're booting up. And let's see, are we showing, so now we're showing a little bit of load finally. So let me scroll over to the top here so you can see what we've got. So it's at 10%, which I would expect because this is not, you know, the power needs of your Xbox are going to vary significantly based on what you're doing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get my controller paired up. And we're going to do an update because I think that'll probably give us a good idea as to what the power consumption might be on a more strenuous activity here. So now we're going to do the update, and let's see what the draw is looking like. Yeah, so now it's doing about 72 watts. And that's not bad, I mean, including the monitor and the Xbox. Now, granted, we're first downloading this update, so that likely will increase in power consumption once it starts doing the processing of that. But I found that these meters are pretty helpful. So what it's telling me right now is that we would have about an hour based on the current power consumption, given where we're at. John says this is boring. The good news about YouTube is that you don't have to watch this. You could go watch something else. But this is me doing my work. So that is what we're up to today. Because I'll be reviewing this at some point. I'm not sure if this is going to be an extras channel thing or something else, but we'll see. So we'll let this kind of download and do its thing, and we'll see where we go. And Greg says that the runtime for a given UPS, or not a full load, but I believe 50% load, aka, right, so if you're not drawing the full, because that's the amount that you're drawing is going to have an impact. So we'll have to see. Yeah, I don't know where this scratch came from. It's like a total gash on here. You know what happened was when I got the new Xbox, I moved, this was like on the floor upstairs. I think one of the kids might have gashed it. But yeah, this is not an exciting thing to watch. Like I'm doing the two most boring things in the world, which is updating an Xbox plugged into a UPS. Not much to see here, is there? What else can we plug into this? Maybe we can plug in, let's see, well, I got like a lot of computers down here, right? We could plug in something else. Or you know what I could do? Why don't we try this? Why don't I pull the cable out and see what happens? So what do you guys see right now? You see that. So let me go switch the view here, and I will pull the cable out of the wall. Now hopefully this has, like it says it's fully charged, so we'll see what happens when I pull the cable. And now it's off the battery. So it's not beeping though. Usually it beeps to tell you that, hey, I'm on battery. And it just turned on a fan. Let me give you the overhead so you can see what it's doing. And we'll turn on the display again here. Because it's definitely going to be creating some heat here as it's going. So maybe the alarm doesn't come. Okay, there it goes. That's a sound I hear throughout my house when the power goes out. And around here it goes out frequently. But you can see it's on battery. And the Xbox is starting to draw a little bit more power. So what's it saying for time left? Or it doesn't give us a time estimate. Yeah, it doesn't give us a time estimate. Oh, it says 65 minutes. Well, it does what it's supposed to do. We could let it continue to run like this, right? Should we do that? Let's do it. We'll see if we can finish the update here and how it does. Because it was odd to see those batteries came fully charged. A lot of times you got to wait a little bit before. So we'll have to see. OC, my brain is here. Hello. We're just chilling today. I sure as heck do live dangerously. Unplug that cable. Andy G says, corrupted update in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we'll see what happens here. I'm just going to let it run. Let's see what happens. It's funny, though. It kicks on a cooling fan when the battery is when the battery is running. So right now we're at, and you can see it's kind of like hovering between 72 and 81 watts. But we still got plenty of power here. And it tells me it's going to run for another 63 minutes. And that's doing an update. I would imagine if we start a game up that's going to be a little more demanding, that might change the dynamic a bit. I don't know what an update does vis-a-vis power consumption. But let's see. We'll just let it do its thing. Patrick says you could probably run an M1 Mac for hours. I bet you probably could. Yeah, I think like a phone or a tablet would just run forever on this thing with nothing attached. Granted, you lose all the portability because this thing weighs a ton. Now, I think the Xbox is rebooting. We haven't lost power. But it's still telling me we've got plenty of juice in the tank here. And the Xbox is rebooting. I actually love, see now it's doing 90 watts. So it's actually consuming more power now than it did before. Yeah, it's up to 144. That's going to dramatically reduce our time, I think. Let's see. And now it's back to where it was. Yeah, about the 53 minutes. Now we're at 90 watts. So this is where it's actually going to probably consume the most power. See, you're at 90 right now. And this is the 1X. Barnabas wants to know, does it have SNMP for remote monitoring? Yes, it does. And actually, we should look for that next. The funny thing is that they don't point you in the manual at their software. Let's take a look here. I'm just looking through the manual. Yeah, they really, you would think they would have like some fancy gaming app to accompany this, right? Let's see. So let's go APC, and we'll go take a look and see if we can find some software for this sucker. But so far, so good. The load is increasing because it's just drawing more power. It's recorded one event. We got 52 minutes left in the can here. And it's drawing about 90 watts. So let's see if I can find some software for this thing. So there's PowerShoot Network Shutdown. And it looks like it's all just nothing for the Mac here. I got the Mac running right now. Although I could get my Windows computer out. So PowerShoot Network Shutdown 4.4. This software only supports English language. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so this will just shut down your system when it's activated. So you do get their USB cable here. So if anyone has a recommendation on software, I'm happy to check it out. Now what I do on my Synology NAS in the closet, this is the cable. So it's got a, an RJ45, which is just how it interfaces to its serial cable here, the USB cable. So what I have on my Synology NAS in the closet is I run the built-in software that talks to the UPS. And if it goes out, and if it's on battery for like 5 minutes, then I have it shut down completely. So that's what we've got there. Win32 hates it when, oops, when Windows keeps restarting its update process after disabling it. Yeah, they want you to keep updating in Windows 10. They call it a service now, not an OS, right? Zoran says, what happens if you lose power during a BIOS update? That is not something you want to have happen. And I think that's why like having a UPS is really important. Although you may not need this particular one. We're about 49 minutes here, by the way. 90 watts it's drawing. Oh, Nick wants to see if the mute button works. That's a good time to check that. So I'll hold it down here. So I'm holding the button down. Yeah, now it is muted. I'll show you the overhead. So if you push the button down, you can turn on or off the alert. So that's what that does. So we'll leave the beeping off for now in case it's bugging you folks. Dogman is here. Hello there. Thank you for the kind words. Aha, this is the million-dollar question. What is the difference between gaming and non-gaming UPSs? The answer is nothing. In fact, this costs, because it is called gaming, this costs a lot more than a non-gaming one. So if you see the same specifications on something like this that costs less, it's going to be the same. They all do pretty much the same thing, is that when the power goes out, as right now we've got it completely disconnected from the wall, it will provide backup power through, in this case, lead-acid batteries that are built in. There's no difference between this and some of the other ones. The one thing that I like about it, I don't think it's worth the extra price premium, is that you do have some USB ports here on the front for power. So if you have things, controllers and stuff that you want to charge, you can plug them in there. But functionally, this one is pretty much identical to one that I paid far less for that sits in my equipment closet with the same power level. It's the same, the screen's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit more attractive from an industrial design standpoint, but it's otherwise the same thing. All right, so let me log into my Xbox. So maybe what we'll do is we'll load a game up and just see what the load is like. I do have Game Pass. Steve Murray says, don't they provide you with cheat codes? That costs extra. That's an extra cost. All right, I got to type my password in now. Oh my goodness. I have a whole different account now than I did before. So let's see. Frank Cromer says, it's like an automobile spark plug and a marine spark plug. You get the privilege of paying more for a marine spark plug. Exactly. If it's a boat, you pay more. Barnabas wants me to try to overload it. I don't have a space heater, believe it or not. But we can try to plug in some more stuff maybe. Heffen wants to know, why does it keep beeping? It's beeping just because we had it unplugged. So typically with a UPS, when it's on battery power, they're going to beep to alert you to tell you that it's not getting power from the wall. And in this house, when the power goes out, it's all you hear is beep, beep, beep. And then as it gets closer to its demise, it'll beep louder. So as you can see here, let me turn this off here. We are down a notch on the battery, and we've got about 45 minutes left. Just sitting idle here, the Xbox and the monitor are consuming about 72 watts at the moment. So I just need to look up my user info here for the password. Chris White says this one has up, up, down, down for the cheat code. Yeah, you get a little bit extra controls on there. All right, let's take a look here. And I do realize this is like watching paint dry, everybody, but that's the beauty of this channel. You never know what I might be playing with on any given day. All right, let's take a look here. And I think what I'm going to do is get this password going. Okay, that's right. All right, so now I know what it is. So give me a second here. We're going to type the password in on my controller. So this Xbox hasn't been logged into in quite some time. But we're completely running off battery power right now. And, we'll probably get a half hour of gameplay. See, I think it's going to give me an error here because I have changed the email address I was using for my Xbox account. So it's still looking for the old one. Yeah, we're going to have to go back and like rejigger the whole thing. All right, so can I sign out and then sign back in? Am I caught in an endless loop here? Because my email address has changed. Let's see. So I'm trying to play a game just so we can load it up a little bit. I don't think I've got any games in the system. No. All right, so how do we get out of this? Can I add a different account? Add new? Let's do that. I could probably add it from my app, and that would be a heck of a lot quicker. So power status, we are at 41 minutes. So it's going down a lot quicker than it was indicating before. And I think that's one of the challenges with this is that you're kind of dealing with a variable rate of power consumption. So if we were on a gaming PC, like my one upstairs, we would get maybe 10 minutes before this thing would be shot because you're consuming a lot more power. And so usually what I use these for is just a means of holding me over until I get to, give me 1 second here, I'm just typing in the rest of my password here. I use these as a means of just holding me over until I get to my backup generator here in the house to kick on. So I only need about 20 seconds typically before I have to go back, before I'm on power again. All right, hang on. I love like all this two-factor stuff, but it takes me forever to log into things. All right, so let's get that going. All right, I'm now signed into my Xbox. So Andy G says your modem, right. So what I do is I've got everything in my equipment room is in one spot. So that UPS just powers everything. And I have like a power strip plugged into it because I have all these different things connected. So that's how I get it all going. All right, give me a second here. Hopefully we got enough juice in the tank. All right, so we'll get through. I'm just logging into the Xbox here. Everyone says I keep looking at the wrong camera. Actually, I'm looking at screens on my desk because I'm trying to log into this device here. So that is what's going on. But I'll give you the overhead view if you're curious as to what's on the screen here. All right. So maybe somebody can help Zorian out. I always thought that the Android tablets would allow you to do split screen. Am I wrong? So I think the Amazon ones do that, don't they? Gosh, there's so many options here. Good Lord. All right, we're almost there. Okay. Yeah, this Xbox has not been turned on in a few months, so it's been taking a little bit. So Mario wants to know, I'd be curious as to how long the Sega Genesis could run on this. Well, what we could even look at is like one of those analog consoles, because those consume pretty much like USB voltage. So that would be what, like 10 watts? Now a real Genesis or Nintendo consumes more. They're not as efficient. But somebody might be able to do a calculation on that. Mohammed says, who does gaming when the power outage occurs? That's a good question. That's a very good question. All right, so let's find a game here that I can load up that I've got on this system. So let's take a look here. Give me one more second here because I just want to change one setting. And then I will show you. This is why I'm not looking at the screen, because I'm trying to turn off. All right, profile. Customize my profile. Hang on a second. Oh, break. I'm just trying to have it not show the logged in email address for my account. And I remember somebody saying there was a way to turn that off, but it's not letting me update my profile at the moment. All right, let me get a game loaded, and then I will go from there. So we got to find something that'll give us some decent. All right, so I got to find something also that is on this Xbox. That would theoretically give us a little bit of, here, let's do Outer Wilds, because that one's on here. This is a Game Pass game. I love Game Pass. Have I told you that? I've played more games that I would never have played before, thanks to Game Pass. Andy G says he needs a fan going so he can keep gaming. You know what's funny about this comment is next thing you know, we'll be reviewing gaming screwdriver. That's true. Why not? Like add another, just add gaming in front of it and your margins go up 30%. It is working as you would expect, so I'm not going to ding it for that. Yeah, so now the Xbox is drawing 144 watts, and so our usage is going to decline dramatically here. And this game, even on the 1X, this is not the Series X. This is the 1X, and it's giving me a network error. So hang on a second. So what is going on? Use offline. Let's resume the expedition. So let's pop into this. So yeah, now we're consuming like 153 watts. So I expect my time left. Yeah, now it's down to 20 minutes. So this will give you enough time to get your console like shut down. Barnabas says, is it me or is the Xbox super slow? This one just updated, so I have no idea. But I have the Series X upstairs, which replaced this one. So I've been kind of spoiled by that new one. I've been playing a lot of Wreckfest. Yeah, so now we're consuming, yeah, we're up to almost 200 watts now. So this is going to be dead pretty soon here. But it's what's interesting is just the variability, right? And that's something you're going to experience no matter what you're using. So here, let me get, it kind of keeps dropping off the wattage. So 153 watts, and depending on the 171 now. You see that? So it's all variable. Thank you very much for the super chat, Netlux. Yeah, I'm kind of bummed about the whole LG TV thing because I'm just going to plug this back in now because I think we're going to start seeing some more. I'm going to turn the sound back on because I'm curious as to what happens. Now, what should happen here, by the way, first of all, let me finish my thoughts on the LG OLED. So I have the LG OLED that I bought 3 or 4 years ago. It is still my favorite TV of all time, like without question. I've had like Pioneer Plasmas, I've had all these nice TVs, but the LG is like my favorite by far, just because the picture quality is just beautiful on it. But what ticks me off about that TV is that it's still perfectly fine. Everything looks great, Dolby Vision, HDR, 4K, everything. But when Apple TV Plus came out, they decided that my TV, because it's 4 years old, doesn't get the app. But the new ones do, right? And of course, now we've got the 120 hertz and all the other stuff that you can do with it. It's just aggravating. Off topic, but is that an Apple Watch? If so, which one? I have the Series 6, and this is my third Apple Watch. So I had the original Apple Watch, and then I'm just checking out my network problem here. I had the original Apple Watch, and then I got the, I'm just going to try to reconnect my network. So I had the original Apple Watch, and then I got the Series 4, because it had the heart rate monitor. I skipped the 5, and then I went to the 6 because the 6 added the pulse ox detector. And I'm very happy with it. Yeah, I've been wearing this. It was funny because when I got the initial Apple Watch, I bought it with the intent to just review it. That was back in 2015. 6 years ago? My goodness. So I bought it in 2015 just to review it. And I never took it off. Like I really found utility with it. At that point, just mostly as a fitness watch, but secondarily, when I got the watch, we were waiting for my second child to be born. So my first one was born in 2013. My second one was born in her birthday's next week, 2015. Yeah, I think she was born the year, it was 2016. So initially it was just kind of fitness notification stuff. That's what I was using it for. But then when my daughter was born a few months later, it was really useful because at the time at my job, we were in the middle of like a big acquisition thing. And so I was constantly on conference calls and I was constantly getting messages and I was able to multitask communicating through the watch at times when I couldn't because I was dealing with the baby, right? So it proved to be really useful for that. So I've been very happy with the watch. Andy G says, what about the UPS temperature? It's pretty cool. I'm not feeling any heat on it. It's pretty cool. The fan's running, but that's about it. So that's been good. Netlux says, that sucks. I have the Apple TV 4K, but haven't hooked it up to the LG. Yeah, I have an Apple TV 4K. I just bought the new one just to see what it does differently. The other gripe I've got with the Apple TV 4K is that so I'm all into this Apple stuff. So I've got the iPhone 12 Plus. This thing supposedly will shoot HDR Dolby Vision video in 4K 60 frames per second. So I do that on the phone. It looks great watching it on the phone, but when you watch it on the TV through the Apple TV 4K, it doesn't look as good. Like it applies like a generic HDR10 color thing to it. And I think it's mapping the HDR differently because my TV never switches into Dolby Vision mode. So I haven't played around with it recently, so I'm going to hook it back up, update the firmware, and see if it's any better. But I ordered the new one just to see if it does that better because it feels like a big disconnect for me that you would advertise Dolby Vision recording on the phone and then not have a way to watch it on the television. That was like my goal with it because I'm like, oh my goodness, the video on the phone looks spectacular when you watch the 4K HDR stuff that you shoot, but you put it on the TV, it doesn't look as good. And it's not going into Dolby Vision mode. And I guess it's a different Dolby Vision kind of thing, but I'll have to see what that does. Netlux says the 6 has an always-on screen. Yes, it does. So what I'll do here, I'll only wait for it to go dormant. So what it does here, it gets dimmer. And then if I just tap here, you can see it kind of lights up brighter and updates the screen. So it is always on. And it's great. And the battery's good on it. I mean, you could sometimes squeeze 2 days out of it. What I do usually at night is I just have a charger on the nightstand, then I just take it off and charge it. It doesn't work well as a sleep tracker because of the battery life issue. Because you could get through the night with it, but by the time you wake up, the watch has got nothing left in the tank. So it's a little difficult there. Chris Allegretta likes the Lenovo Duet as a multi-purpose tablet. It is a great tablet. I think it's probably one of the best tablets out there, and it runs Chrome OS, and you can install your Android apps on it. It's got a nice keyboard that docks to it, and it's really affordable. I think it's like $250. I reviewed it. Check it out. It's a great device. And Nilux says it won't play full HDR on the TV in 4K. I'm going to have to play around with this. Yeah, this is so freaking complicated. If it's complicated for me, it's got to be complicated for everybody else. Patrick Chang, random question. I started a tech YouTube channel last year, inspired by me and others. A small company reached out to me asking if I would like to review one of their products. Any advice? Yeah, I would go for it. You know, I mean, the big thing is that if you get reached out to and they want to send you something to review, the best thing you can do is to disclose it, right? You're supposed to do that. I would disclose it, and they should understand that this is not an opportunity for them to guide the content. So the content is yours. The editorial comments that you make, the decision as to what to cover and how, yada yada. Don't review it with them. I mean, them sending you the product does not mean they have control over editorial. So I would just disclose it and say up front, did they have any role in the creation of the content? A lot of times the company will give you a marketing sheet to go with it. I found that to be really useful, not to guide the content, but to see how honest they are in their marketing. Does it live up to the marketing? And that's often what I look for in a review, when I do a review, because I want to know, does this product match the marketing that they offered? And by the way, so far, this one is. It's almost dead, by the way. Oh, I see what this is. So this green thing, it's got a quarter left here. So that's why this light is going dark on here. But this is running the Xbox for about the time that I thought it would. So there you go. So why don't we plug it back in now. And let's see what happens when we plug it back in. And now it's going to take it a lot longer to charge, because this is not like your phone battery that charges super fast. So when I plug this back in, hear that click? It just clicked over when it got regular power. The fan shut right down. So now it's going to have to sit here and charge for the next, probably for the next 8 hours before it comes back to full juice here. So you can see now that we're in the orange, and it's got only that left. So that's your gaming UPS there. Amazon customer, thank you for following. You're just having a chill day today, just checking this thing out. Yeah, this will probably be an extras channel thing. I don't know if there's a lot to talk about with this. It's a UPS. See, Andy G says, is the network problem related to the UPS energy? I don't think so, because I wasn't running the network through the thing there. Let's see what else we got here. Zoran has the Garmin Fenix 5, 10-day battery life. Yeah, it's a monster. I think we reviewed one of those. Amazon sent us one during the holiday live stream thing that we were doing. It is a beast. It is a beast. I'll tell you what, though, I really like the Apple Watch. It's I think what Apple does really well, and by extension, by the way, I got to track my little thing right now. By extension, like the new AirTags are a great example of that too. So for example, like right now, I put the AirTag in my wife's, I planted it on my wife as she left the house. So it shows my AirTag now at the school where she is picking up my daughter. I'm just tracking it right now as we speak. And yeah, interesting. So she is with it right now. So I'm trying to see if it's going to give her a warning, because she's in my friends and family circle. But the integration that Apple has with their stuff works very well, I think, now. Andy G, what's up with Lon in Space? Lon in Space is not happening. I didn't win, unfortunately. But here's the cool thing. So for those of you who have not been following this whole drama, not drama, but this whole exercise and adventure, there was a contest by the guy that is taking the first commercial SpaceX flight to orbit. And the contest was for his payment processing company. The deal was he set up a store on his website, and I have my store for my used stuff. So I set that up. And you do like a little video saying why you should go to space. And I said the reasons why I would love to go to space. And then, as it turns out, there was only like 150 people that actually applied for it, which is crazy. So I had better odds on this than actually becoming a NASA astronaut with a degree, degree in aerospace engineering or something, which I have a communications degree, not an aerospace one. But I didn't win. But the person that won, I think, is honestly, I think she's the best choice. So Dr. Sion Proctor was the one who won. And she so she tried to become an astronaut. She went through the process, I think, 3 times. She got into a finalist category with NASA about 12 years ago, but didn't get all the way through. So, that door was shut, right? But she managed to get into this thing, which I think is great. So what they're going to do, because there were so few of us entering, when they sent the rejection letter, they also said, we're going to give you some money towards airfare to come down and see it. So I'm going to go down. It's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to that. And my wife was relieved. I don't think she would have been crazy about me going into space. But I like the mission that they've put together. It's like an old school space shuttle mission. So they're going up for 3 days. They're going to put themselves in an orbit that is about it's not going to go to the Hubble Space Telescope, but it's an orbit at that altitude, that height, which is higher than the shuttle used to go. It's higher than the space station's orbit too. So I think that's going to be really, really exciting for them. And it's a little more risky because you're exposed to a little bit more radiation at that altitude, but it should still be safe for everybody. The shuttle did that only when it went to the Hubble, and that was like a big stretch on its fuel. So it was a real, that was like a real limit to the space shuttle's potential distance that it could travel from the ground. The delta V, if you will, I think is what the term that all the space geeks like me talk about. Roger P wants to know, is a PC connected to the UPS? No, we connected up just an Xbox for the heck of it. But an Xbox is a lot like a middle-of-the-road PC from a power consumption standpoint. So it was pulling about 180 watts max, and it seemed to do what it was advertising. So I'm not too upset about that. I will plug in when I test it. I got to wait for it to charge now for 8 hours. But I am going to plug it into my gaming PC upstairs, which will draw like 500 watts or more when it's really cranking. So we'll see how that does. Yeah, Patrick, send me a link when you do your video. I'd love to check it out. Give you some feedback if you'd like it. So we'll check that out. Denise wants to know, how is the MacBook Air M1 for programming? I think it's great for programming. If you you can run all the whatever. You could run Python and C and everything else on it. So, and you've got Apple's development tools, which are nice, but you could also do the open source ones if you wanted to. It's getting easier to do virtualization on it too. So you could run the ARM version of Ubuntu or something, throw that on there. Good power consumption. It's great, great platform. And Netlux has got some more information on the Apple TV. So the footage problem in 4K is because sRGB is meant for a monitor output that is 444. Aha. 422. I see. So this might be something to test on the new one, right? So check that out. Tornado TJ, my daughter's degree is in aerospace engineering from UT Austin, and now she's working for NASA on the SPLICE program. Awesome, I'll check that out, NASA SPLICE. And if she ever wants to go into space, a lot of times people begin their careers working on a NASA project because for the most part, unfortunately, NASA is not looking for people who are either you come into NASA in 2 ways as an astronaut. You're in the military with aviation experience, or you're coming in as a research scientist, engineer, so you're in one of the STEM fields. They haven't been looking for people like me who have like a communications major. And I understand why. I mean, you're going to put people up who can you got to put up the minimum number of people to get the most output. And right now, communicating about space is not a high priority, which is why I'm so excited about the commercial stuff, because I think that opens the door for more storytellers to go up into space. And by the way, that was another reason why I think Sion Proctor was a great choice for the mission that I applied for, because in addition to having the background that she had to get into the finalist pool for NASA to begin with, she's also a writer and a poet. So she's got, I think she's got the full package of skill set, I think, that really made her the right choice. And I'm glad they picked her. Because they had a bunch of other YouTubers and stuff like me in there, and I'm like, I mean, I would have been happy to go, but I don't know if that would have been the right choice for what they were looking for, and I think she was. Even though I was in it, I think she was the better choice. And I really mean that. So I'm looking forward to meeting her, actually. She seems like a really nice lady. And she's going to be great. And she's a pilot too, by the way. She knows how to fly airplanes. So everything I can't do. Not yet. Let's see what else we got here. So Tornado says that the SPLICE program, everyone should look it up. It's pretty neat. I was just looking it up on my computer here. Safe and precise landing, integrated capabilities evolution. She does not want to go into space until learning. Sometimes after you learn a lot about the rockets, you don't want to actually go up in one. But I think those UFOs that everybody are seeing, like once we get that technology, then you're good. The rockets won't be needed anymore. And Zoran says, if you want to do Python, go to Raspberry Pi. That's true. Raspberry Pi is a great way to start learning computing because it's cheap. You can't break it. If you do break it, you just refresh the SD card, and it's good. All right. David S. is here. Thank you for following. Yeah, I think this was a quick one today. There wasn't much to explore on this thing. All I wanted to do was unplug it and see if it kept the Xbox running for a few minutes. There's not much else to it. And that's the problem that I have with this, is that what's it doing to warrant the price differentiation here, the price jump. So let me pull up, let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pull up my computer screen here. Give me 1 second. And then I got to run because I got to get the wrap-up posted. I've got as usual, like the time, there's not enough time in the day. So let me pull up the Amazon listing for this device here. So anyways, turn this off real quick. Okay. Oops. Okay, so here is what we're looking at. And so this costs, right now, $259. So it's 1500 VA, 900 watt line interactive sine wave UPS battery backup design for console and PC gaming environments. But it's no different than any other one that's out there. So if we go back, let me pull up another one here. And I can show you the one that I have. So this one, this is the one that I have. This is what actually is hooked up to my production computer right this very minute. And you can see this one, 159 versus 259. So what's the difference here, right? Maybe there's one extra plug on the other one, but you can always plug in a power strip or a multiple adapter thing. Roger P says it's half the price. Exactly. Now you don't get the USB ports on the front, right? But you look on the back here, and this is not rocket science, this stuff. This is like straight up lead acid batteries. So that's my question is, like, what's the reason between the price on this versus this, which is the same capability? And they're going to work the same. You lose power, you're going to get the same amount of power out of both of them. So I don't know. That's what I need. I need to research that. Like, what's the value proposition? The only thing that this one has other than different is that this one's got the 3 USB ports on the front. So you could plug in your, yeah, that's convenient. I like that. And it's a little bit more attractive, right? It doesn't look like a big old battery. It's, it's a attractive looking thing that has lights on it. So you have that perhaps, but I don't know. So let me see if I can find some. Let me see if there's another APC that has the same capabilities. Let's look for that real quick. Okay, here you go. All right, so this is another APC. And I guess it's a matter of features, so I really got to dig into the features here. Roger P says APC is a big brand. That's true. That's true. So here's, apparently I own one. I have no idea. I own one of these, apparently. I purchased a different variation of this one. Which one do I have? I have no idea. Maybe I have this one. I don't know. Apparently I own this. I bought one back in 2018. Maybe for my old job I bought it, the 10,000 VA one. or the 1000 VA. Maybe that's the one in the closet over there. That's probably what it is. So this one's $165. 3 to 5 year battery life. So I'm hitting the end of the battery life on that one. I probably have to get new batteries for it soon, right? But it's you know what I mean? Like what is the deal here? Yeah, I'm going to write to them and ask them about this because I just don't know. Like, why would you not buy this one for 164 when this one's 259? That is the question. Maybe you all can help with that. I'm not sure. So Netlux says, I should check. This is what happens when I do these streams, by the way. This happened with the projectors, right? We started talking about one, and suddenly we had like a whole week of content on on stuff. Roger P says that is the same as the $250. Yeah, exactly. It's like the same feature set. But Netlux here says, telling you owe it to yourself to look up the Zendor Super Base 500. It's $449, 140,000 milliamp hour. That's, I'm guessing, milliamp hour based on USB voltage, right? 2x full 3-prong ports. You can simultaneously charge all your devices. Lifetime warranty. Okay, so here's the answer. So the CyberPower has a simulated sine wave, whereas the 1500 PFC is a pure sine wave. He has both. So, and I would love to know what the difference is between obviously I know simulated versus pure. So is there more hardware inside to keep the power cleaner? Is that what it's about? We'll have to see. I'll wait for the responses to come in on that. Okay, so here's another comment. Chad says, I'm just reading off the screen here. Personally experienced with my gaming computer, the power supply absolutely rejected anything but pure sine wave. The lesser simulated wave triggered the interesting. Okay. All right, so there's some value to the pure sine wave if you plan on keeping it running while the power is out. Interesting. So I've got to now, because I want to be able to explain to people, because here's what's going to happen. I can predict this with this video, is that when I do this, and I'm just putting some notes into my thing here, when I do this video, the question will be, just like PC Phil is asking right now on Amazon, seriously, what makes a UPS gaming worthy? That's a good question. And so we just went through looking at a few different UPSs that cost a lot less with the same power capacity, but some of the less expensive ones have a simulated sine wave versus a pure sine wave. So this one has, and I'll put the screen back up. So I think to some degree you're paying for the industrial design. So let's look up sine wave here. To ensure gaming gear stays powered when you need it the most. It's a line interactive sine wave UPS. I don't even know what that means. And then it says it's UPS pure sine wave or simulated, and the answer is pure. So I'm going to look this up now. What's the difference between pure sine wave? Because I'm trying to, again, come up with a... This is part of what I learn here on the channel. So here's a thing from Triplight's website. There are two types of UPS battery backup. The type that produce a pure sine wave and the kind that produce a simulated sine wave, also known as a pulse width modulated sine wave when on battery power. When a UPS system receives power and frequency from the AC line that is within acceptable range, it will do nothing to correct it. The incoming utility power is typically a pure sine wave, and this is what connected equipment expect. However, okay, this is where it gets interesting. If the UPS system detects a power disturbance, such as a blackout or a frequency change, it will use its battery to correct the condition and restore power. it is only when on battery power that a sine wave becomes a consideration. The main difference between pure sine wave and simulated sine wave is that a pure sine wave in a battery backup mode is guaranteed to produce a cleaner output for any piece of equipment connected to it, whether it's a desktop computer, lab equipment, or server in a data center. The same cannot be said of a modified system, which produces a stepped approximation to a sine wave when on battery. Its output is choppier and provides equipment with less stable output waveform. I see. Interesting. So here's another thing. It's important to understand that both types of UPS system produce a true sine wave output more than 99% of the time. It is only during a power failure, when the UPS is producing power from its battery reserves, the output waveform is of concern. So that comes back to what we were hearing earlier. Also keep in mind that typical applications of pure sine wave UPS systems involve the protection of critical server, network, medical, telecommunications equipment, or electronic equipment that is particularly sensitive to input power, which is what our commenter said a minute ago, such as lab test equipment. Modified sine wave UPS systems typically protect PCs, home energy. Okay, so the sine wave appears to be the difference here. So, and that's what a lot of you mentioned. So the CyberPower one, as we just noted, so this is the one that I have. Maybe I shouldn't switch this around now, right? So this is what I have hooked up to my current production system. This has been fine for down here, because it just has to stay on for 20 or 30 seconds until it kicks over. But this is simulated sine wave, which is probably why it costs less. So let's go and look at APC pure sine wave. And let's see what that might cost us here. So if we go and look at a similar one. So these are all these beefier. So you could spend a lot of money on this kind of stuff. So let me look and see now. APC 1500 VA. I'm just trying to come up with a comparative. Like, what's the difference between the gaming and the non-gaming one now, right? So the non-gaming APC, yeah, this is like the same. This is the same thing. All right, so the gaming one has more ports, I think. Actually, no, I think it's got the same number. Let me check in the back. So this one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 battery ports. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, same number of ports in the back. It's actually, this actually looks like it's just a different case. And it's got one, it's got one less USB port on it. But this is very similar. And it looks like it's a pure sine wave. Doesn't say pure. Let's see. Just going to look up pure, see if anybody wrote pure on here. Yeah. So the price premium here is, I think, probably the industrial design. This is $40 less with the same capacity. That's pretty much it. PC Phil says, I'm thinking the operating system is more sensitive than the game itself. That's probably true. I'm just reading the Amazon comments here. That is the same difference between a DC to AC converters attached to a solar battery array. Yeah, so I guess that's really the breakdown here. So let's look at a few others here. So here's the CyberPower. Okay, so this is the CyberPower with the pure sine wave. And that's also around $220. So we're looking at, I think on a feature-to-feature comparative here, it looks like what we're looking at is about a $40 to $50 price premium for this one, the gaming one, versus the non-gaming one. So I don't know. You all tell me what you think. But this one is a sine wave from CyberPower, similar to what we're just looking at here. It's got the USB ports on the front, color display, right? So, but yeah, I'm not sure what the gaming gets you. It's not giving you any software. You do have like all the customizable RGB lights, so maybe that's what you're looking for. Oh, I see. So you can change the color of the control panel light there, and it's got the one in the back, so maybe you're paying a little bit extra for that. Yeah, so this is what's unique about it. That's it. Functional lighting, the 160-degree display, the reactor circle, and the backlight. That's it. So, you know, if you like the look of it, you pay extra. Otherwise, go with the other one, $40 less. And PC Phil says, I think they're dumbing down the features to make them more attractive. Yeah, I think this is your typical gaming profit grab, I think, is really what it comes down to. And Mark Bollinger said, just like the gaming HDMI cables, exactly. Remember those expensive cables they used to try to sell you at the department stores? So, yeah, so here's what I think what we've got to do to be fair is that we have to compare a pure sine wave UPS to this one, because it's an Apple, you got to do the apples to apples here, right? And I will give them credit that they're marketing people are plugging their expensive gaming computers to this, so you definitely want I think a sine wave, pure power output when it's on battery. So I'll give them that. And as Eric says here, it's basically a power conditioner. So I think that's, so you're looking here not at a $100 premium, you're looking at a $30 or $40 premium for the LED lights. That's it. So Chad here says, be careful with APC. They like to muddy their specs. My gaming computer rejected an APC that I thought was pure sine wave, but in fact was not. So Chad, which one did you have? I'm curious now. That's interesting. Hey, it looks nice. It's a nice unit. And it did keep our Xbox running for 20 or 30 minutes. But PC Phil says pure sine wave is the best for quality power. And yeah, so MK, there was a lot of reviews about that. Apparently there was a bad firmware. So this one has the newer firmware on it. And I think they had to recall a bunch of them because a lot of people had some sparking problems. So we'll see now, because now it's charging, so we'll get a feel for that. I'm definitely feeling some heat on the side, but so far it hasn't sparked yet. I'll keep a camera on it, and the smoke detector is right above us here. So hopefully we won't have an issue with this one. John Smith says, CyberPower has the better value and spec. Yeah, I use a CyberPower on my computer here, although I just learned it's not pure sine wave. But it hasn't been a problem yet. Because I have this computer that runs my stream is essentially a gaming computer, but it's been fine. It has kicked on a couple of times. So just so everyone knows, like if you came in late, I use UPSs on my equipment because I have a generator here at the house, a backup generator. And I've got one of those automatic switches. So when the power goes out, it takes about anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds for the generator to kick on and that switch to kick over. So I have a period of time where everything gets dropped and then the power comes right back on. So all of my expensive stuff I've got on a UPS of some degree or another. So like the home theater stuff upstairs, I've got, the cheap one, just one that can just keep it on for 20 seconds. That's not hard to get. And then on the computer here, I've got the big CyberPower. I've got that APC that we were just looking at in the equipment closet over there for all the networking equipment. And it'll keep it on. So with the networking equipment, I can keep it running for about 20 minutes. And I only need like a minute tops. So that's what works. But what I have on it is, what's cool is that and this one has it too, is you got this cable that you can use to report back to the computer. So if you leave your computer on all the time, if it's running on battery for a set amount of time, the computer could shut down automatically if you're not home, safely shut down. And I have it on my Synology in there, so I actually have a log of whenever the power goes out, because the Synology works with the APCs as part of its operating system. So you get like a notification pushed when the power goes out, which is really useful. Let's see what else we got here. Eric says, a functional test. I should get an oscilloscope. I would have to learn how to use it. But you can see if it's the same as the wall or even better. That's a neat idea. I need to go find an oscilloscope. That might be kind of fun, a fun exercise. Mark says, you want to see some sparks? Look up my old Apple again. Yeah, we're going to swap out that power supply soon. I got another one in the closet back there. Netlux UPS stuff is really dependent on your possible use case. I had a 4.5-day blackout here in California. He had a lead acid deep cycle battery powered most of my house. Wow, that's really neat. You must have a big battery to do that. Netlux asks, what's my the generator we have is diesel. my dad got us all the kids, we all got generators for our birthdays one year. So my father went nuts with it. The guy that hooked it up called it the zombie apocalypse generator. So I think it can run the house for like 2 weeks. It powers everything. And ever since I got it, I haven't really needed it. We had the longest duration outage we've had at the house was about 3 days with it. And I got my power back, but the Comcast stuff wasn't back up for like another week. That was when I was driving to parking lots to upload stuff. So that was that. In cases, most with automatic transfers are natural gas. Yeah, around here it's propane because we don't have we have gas in some parts of town, but not where I am. But there's a lot of propane generators that are like that. But no, mine's diesel. It's got a big old tank on it. It's a monster. It's like a truck engine when that thing comes on. It's pretty beefy. And PC Phil says, just like a fire extinguisher, rather have it and not need it. Yeah, you know what's funny though is that we have a horrible electric utility in Connecticut. I did a whole video on how bad they are. We had in the last 10 years, I've had at least a month, like a full month without power, and in week-long increments. We've had multiple week-long outages, and the second I get my generator now, I haven't had a problem. So it's funny how that plays out. Roger P wants to know in the Amazon chat, do you think solar power will be the power of the future? I think it's going to be one of the powers of the future. Actually, where I am, they're putting a bunch of wind turbines out in the, it's going to be out in, I think it's out in the ocean, and they're going to they're going to have it come in on underwater cable back to where I am in Connecticut. So I think wind is going to be part of it, solar is going to be part of it, nuclear is going to be part of it. I think there's a bunch of stuff. A lot of options. More options than fewer. Especially because I think gas is great, but you don't want that to be your only source of power, right? Where I am, I'm in Waterford. I'm not in Waterford, but the Waterford nuclear plant is about 25 minutes up the road. Joseph said, no, my father doesn't work in the industry, but we owned, long story, but we had a family business and we had a bunch of facilities and we had a bunch of generators hooked up to power those facilities. And so my father met the guy, obviously, that was doing all the generators for us and had him do his house. And then when my father finds, like, I'm the same way. When you find somebody that works well, you have them do everything. So this guy's like, he's a really good generator guy, just knows his stuff. And so we had him he did my father's house, he did my house and my sister's house. My brother didn't get one, but he didn't have electricity up until about a year or two ago. So we'll see where that goes. Frank Comer wants to know, when is the Starlink system coming in? Yes, I ordered Starlink, in case all of you were not aware. I got an email about a week ago, less than a week ago now, to order it. So I ordered it, and I'm going to have that as my backup internet connection, because to the point I just made, even if my power comes back here, sometimes Comcast might be out. Because my new connection, by the way, I have more bandwidth now than I know what to do with, but my new connection goes back to Comcast's head end directly. But if any spot along the way is impacted by a tree falling down, which happens a lot around here, my connection's out, because I have to have that fiber circuit directly going back to the head end 4 or 5 miles away. So if we have anything, and this wire is going through the forest, essentially. And it's on a pole. So if I lose that, no internet. So I bought a Starlink dish with the intent of using it as a backup. But I'll have a month of service when it comes in, so I figured I'll do a bunch of content with it. So it'll be fun. PC Phil says it's crazy that we need to have a backup internet provider for home use. It is kind of funny. You know what it is that, and I learned my lesson on this, because when we lost power for that length of time, remember, I got my power back in 3 days, but the internet was out for 8. And so we were basically running off of our mobile phones. Now, I don't have very good cell phone coverage here, so I was getting about a megabit in both directions, if that, less so on the upstream. And then it was totally bogged down because everybody was on it at the same time. So what I had to do is I would export my videos. I'd put them on my laptop. I would get in my car. I kid you not. I would park in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot, which was under the LTE tower that was like the best one in the area. And I would sit in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot and upload and do all my internet stuff that I needed bandwidth for. It was kind of crazy. So I figured with the Starlink, that'll solve the problem. I'll have a faster connection. I just did a test out in my backyard, so I can just stick it out in the backyard when I need it, because I have a free, obstruction-free zone. I did the app and everything. So it's going to be great. So I'll have a good backup, and if the, and I said to our first selectman here in town, if the emergency responders need it, they can borrow it, whatever. So it's great because you set it up and you've got high-speed internet, 200 down, 20 up. It's running at 200 down now, so it's going to be great. Roger P says, do you think 5G home internet is an alternative? I think if you are where you've got a good signal, I think it could be a good alternative, especially because so far it looks like Verizon and T-Mobile are not doing data caps on their home 5G service. So if the signal is good at your house, it's a good alternative. Where I am, I don't get anything. I get a megabit. So for me, it's not great, but I think it's definitely, I think, a good competitor now. And it's funny now, I'm starting to see things really open up in my area. So remember, before it was Comcast or nothing. Thursday or Friday, our phone company, which has been in bankruptcy, has emerged from bankruptcy and said fiber is the future. And they're going to be wiring up GPON fiber optic, that's the shared fiber, or the passive split, whatever they call it. They're going to be wiring up fiber all over the place, they say. And that'll probably be in the more densely populated parts of my area. So where I live, I'm probably never going to see it. But people are going to have Comcast. They're going to have fiber from the phone company. We have another startup in the state called GoNetSpeed. They've been doing a bunch of stuff in the Hartford area, so they've got a good fiber product. You got the 5G from T-Mobile and Verizon available in Connecticut, Starlink available in Connecticut. So there's some options. But I think Starlink, for a lot of people, is going to be the only game in town. And it works. I was so impressed with what I saw at my brother's place. And he is more than happy with it. Like it's changed his, it changed his life for the better. It's made his business easier to operate. He's able to market himself. He's putting a lot more content up about what he's doing, with his maple sugaring and stuff. And it's been great. And I can actually, he calls me more than I've ever talked to him before because he can actually pick up the phone and call somebody. Couldn't do it before. So we'll have to see what it is. Roger P wants to know what fiber ISP. So I'm using Comcast. I have fiber from Comcast. Frontier is the phone company here in Connecticut. So they bought AT&T's old infrastructure. Long story. They bought more than they could afford to buy, and they went bankrupt because they bought everybody's landline thinking that was going to be the future. Not a good business move. Frank Cromer was thinking about WeBoost. Yeah, WeBoost is another option. I tried the WeBoost thing to see if I could get anything better, but it's all elevation. So I'm in a weird spot because I am elevated above the closest cell tower to me. So I'm picking up some other cell tower that's at a more equal elevation, and because of that, it's weird because I could go down to the end of my road and get a really nice LTE signal, like with 10 or 15 megabits up. But I can't get it up here, and I think it's because I'm above the tower. Like I'm way above it, and I've got trees and land blocking. There's no line of sight to it. So I'd have to get that WeBoost up really high and pointed down to get to that tower. But it's possible. But I did test the WeBoost. The WeBoost works really well if you have poor signal inside, but a decent signal outside. But yeah, there's lots of options to get it. Yeah, you know what, Eric? I got to follow this. Thanks to you for the reminder, because I put out a question. So I made a contact at JPL when I interviewed the guy on the Relay Network, and I asked him if he might be able to get us somebody to talk about the Perseverance Intel Atom computer, because it's got a little mini computer. It's got like one of these things in the rover, and that's what's been doing the the video processing for the landing cameras. So I'm going to try to get them on. I'm going to do that after I finish up the stream today. Thanks for the reminder on that. Chris White says a guy at his office or his work got Starlink for his home and loves it, but now another guy wants to get all of our remote locations on it, but it's not available for businesses yet. Yeah, you got to do a personal, it's a personal thing. And actually, what's going to be fun is so there's a guy around the corner from me. He's like my soulmate. He saw that I got the Comcast Gigabit Pro, and then he had them hook it up for him. And his was a lot harder to get installed than mine because they had a trench under his, I mean, they had to do a ton of work to get it to him. Mine was super easy because I was a direct shot to the end of the road on the pole. They had to trench his whole road. I mean, crazy install. But he's an IT guy and he does remote IT support. So he really needs his connection. And so he ordered Starlink the same day that I did when the deposits became available. And he was the one that told me that he got his email. I checked my email, I got it. So what we're going to do when we both get it is we're going to try to load up the satellite. We're going to like hit it like as hard as we can. And it's just two of us, but I mean, he's right around the corner. So we're going to be in the same cell because that's how Starlink does it. They call it cells. Basically, it's a spot on the ground that the satellites geometrically can reach or whatever. So we're going to give it a shot, see what we can do to overload the network. We're going to communicate back and forth to each other and then run iPerf tests and just see if we can, you know, what's the experience going to be like. It'll be kind of fun. So Eric is he's bought 20 acres in Ellijay, Georgia, and he can get Verizon Fios there. Awesome. I would do the fiber. If you can get fiber, do that. That's going to be more reliable than anything else. Mr. K is here. Hello. Frank has Frontier also. Yeah, I just canceled my Frontier phone line because, as it turns out, my Frontier phone line hasn't worked for the last 8 months, and I've been paying for it. I thought it was just getting junk calls on my phone because I pick up and nobody was there, and then I never used the phone. And the other day I picked it up to make a phone call because it was the closest phone, and there was no dial tone. So I don't know how long my phone hasn't been working for. I just told them to get rid of it, so they're disconnecting it. Hello, Mr. Parker. Good to see you. Ooh, so Tornado got in on that unlimited AT&T thing for $20 a month. That's a good deal. Yeah, I guess they grandfathered everyone in who had that. And my understanding is that people are selling those accounts now or something, right? And that's a great connection. 35.25 in LTE is very good. That's great. Yeah, I wish I had better LTE here. Netlux is insane. Yeah, I will tell you this much. Verizon 4G LTE, I'm finding, is faster than their 5G. Not the ultra wideband 5G, but the 5G most of us are going to get. I actually noticed a speed degradation when their towers turned on the 5G from before, because I was getting crazy speeds off that Dunkin' Donuts tower. It was really good. Robert Lewis is here. Mr. K, loved it. Yeah, I got 2 more coming up with Metal Jesus, so check those out. It was fun. I was really happy that he asked me to do that. It was fun. How heavy is the UPS? This thing is 38 pounds. It is heavy. Like when the guy dropped it off, he's like, they didn't label it, but this thing's heavy. And I was like, I picked it up, I'm like, wow, it is heavy. It's about 38 pounds. Mark Bollinger, yes, that's right. So there was a time in which you could not own a telephone. You had to rent it from the phone company. And there were these big, heavy, like they were all metal, had there was an actual bell inside the phone that would ring. Yeah, we had some rental phones at my mom's house, and I don't think we ever gave them back. They just stopped charging us for them. But I know we've got at least one at my mom's place still. The slim line, not the big one with the handle on the back. Yeah, Netlux is getting over 100 on, yeah, their 4G is great. Tornado says, not too many towers. Yeah, that's my problem. I don't have a lot of density where I am, so they don't invest too much in it. Brian Parker's getting his studio back up and running. I'm happy to help you, Brian. Let me know. I'm all vaccinated. I can go see people again, so let me know. So Eric says, what was happening to me was the 5G signal was weaker than the 4G. I can see that. Yeah, so if you turn off the 5G, that might that might make it work better. I'll have to check that out. All right, everybody. Well, I've got to run. Hate to cut this short. Oh, wait, I missed this one. You might have missed my message. Have you, a project called Helium. What is Helium? Let me see, Helium project. Let's look that up real quick. The People's Network. Powered by the Helium blockchain, the People's Network represents a paradigm shift for decentralized wireless infrastructure. Well, that's interesting. You set up like a Wi-Fi thing somewhere? Uh-huh. Interesting. That's clever, right? It's like a VPN that runs over the top of other. That's clever. I'll look into this a little bit more. I like anything decentralized I'm into these days. So I will check that out. You can earn money by running a hotspot. You made $3,000? What? Holy mackerel. Wow. I gotta look into that. Now, does that need your existing internet connection? Because I think that would violate my Comcast TOS. And I'm sure they're watching right now, like, yeah, you're not doing that, Lon. Yeah, see, this is what, like, people say this is going to be boring. See that? You stick with it, it gets more interesting. Partly because people ask questions that lead to more discussions. And there wasn't much to talk about here, although, I'll tell you what, this was why I felt it was good to do this one live, because there was something that I did not know. I did not know about the stimulated versus pure sine wave, which is why this costs more. So that put it into a better context as to what people were getting with this one. Oh, this is interesting. So it's fully within the rules. You're not even sharing anything. It's all done over the radio. Interesting. All right, I got to go look at it. And I do need a Discord. Somebody set that up for me. I'll put somebody in. Brian Parker, do you want to be in charge of that? You can set me up a Discord. Do I have to pay for that? Everybody has Discord but me. But you know what? I tried like Reddit. I tried all these different things. Nobody ever signed up. Maybe we'll try the Discord. Because people are like logging into Discord anyhow, so that might be the way to go. Netlux has a huge decentralized crypto newsletter. Email me a link to that, Lon@Lon.TV. So I am very fast. I think, here's my opinion on decentralization. I think that ultimately is the spirit of what the internet was going to be, and I think it's the future. I think it's the future. Because that's really what the internet was supposed to be, was decentralized. And I'm not complaining about parts of it not being centralized, because I built a career on YouTube that I don't think would have been possible if everything was decentralized. So there's a balance, right? But I think there's going to be more decentralization, and that will be good for entrepreneurship, I believe. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, let's send me an email, Netlux. Let's chat. We'll figure out something we could do. Mike Lucas says you will find it easier to communicate with your audience with Discord when not live streaming. I'll check it out. Yeah, I've had the Facebook group, and that's been good, right? I've enjoyed that. I think we've had a lot of great discussions on there, but not everybody wants to be on Facebook. So Discord might be a better option. So I will investigate Discord and see what happens there. Cassie wants to know, do I host anything at home? I only host things at home for my internal usage within my intranet here at the house, but I don't have anything that's publicly facing. I have the bandwidth now to do that, but I don't publicly face anything. See, that's the other thing I've been looking for, Netlux, is, so I've heard about Library, and so Odyssey and Library, are they the same thing, or are they, I guess one's live streaming and one's YouTube alternative. I'll have to check into both of those. Mike is saying I'm old and I don't use Facebook anymore. I think too that like I'm losing interest in Facebook. It's just Facebook is never, and as Chris says, it's bad for his health too. I think there's a lot of things not good with Facebook. And I have a friend of mine who stopped watching news, and he stopped doing all the other things associated with news on Facebook, and his outlook on life got a lot better. So I think it's just, we as humans have to get used to expressing our negative feelings better. Let me put it that way. Because you know what it reminds me of? Facebook is like so when I was on the bulletin board systems way back when, you would constantly see these flame wars erupting, similar to the garbage you see on Facebook with different people. But it didn't have any real societal impact because there were so few of us on there and the reach wasn't that great. But it's different with this other stuff. I think, I'll have to see. But Odyssey is the web-facing front end. All right, I'll have to look into this. Because I've been looking for a decentralized place to store some of my stuff. And I'm looking for, I just want to make sure that it's got a good, diverse range of content. Because I don't want to be like in these constant, like if it's just like all like controversial, whatever. Not that I have a problem with people communicating with what they feel. I just feel like branding-wise, I want to be in a place where there's a lot of other people that are doing similar things to what I'm doing. Let's put it that way. But I will take a look at it. Because I think something is going to emerge in a decentralized way that I think will be good. Do I use Twitch? Gosh, 2 questions. Roger and Venom Snakes here. I don't use Twitch, and you know why I don't use Twitch is because I don't expect my streams to do well on Twitch to begin with. But if it ever did, I couldn't stream anywhere else because Twitch wants exclusivity if you're earning revenue. So I never got into it. YouTube doesn't require that, nor does Amazon. So I stream to Amazon. That's my primary revenue generator for streaming. And I would want to be able to do both. Oh, good. Okay, that's good. All right, I'm going to check it out. Odyssey. I'm going to add it to my to-do list for. I have like these. I take a couple of days here and there to do office work, so that's going to be that's what I'm going to look for. All right. And Theta is another one. Odyssey is my favorite. They've seen major growth. All right, cool. I'll check out both of them. All right, and Theta. Keep an eye on all that stuff. Something's gonna take. I mean, Bitcoin's a good example, I think, of things like crossing out of the enthusiast world into the real world, right? People are seeing it as a real store of value. So, but yeah, Netlux, please definitely send me an email. That'd be great. Mike Lucas, has anyone seen an easy way to calculate what size UPS you would need? I think they have a calculator on APC's website, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yes. If you Google APC calculator, they will give you the ability to configure it by load. Here, I'll show you what I'm looking at right here. Let me put this full screen. And then I got to run because I got to get tonight's wrap up. We're going to talk about Roku and YouTube tonight on the wrap up, by the way. So here you can type in, you'll say I got like 4,000 watts. I want to run for 20 minutes right? And click continue. We'll see if it gets me something here. Yeah, then it gives you your options. So yes, APC, if you look for APC UPS calculator, you'll find that. And as Londog says, real calculation, how much you want how much current your computer uses and how long you want it to run on batteries. And as we saw, even with this Xbox, there was a dramatic swing in its consumption based on what it was doing, right? Especially for gamers. Luther Gaylord says, how do I feel being in league with Jeff Bezos? Look, I mean, nothing's perfect out there, but I found that Amazon's been a great platform for me and for my business. It's been a very good cohesion of the kind of content I do and the kind of content that they're looking for. So it's been a good mix. And I put it on YouTube, I put it on other places, but Amazon's been good. I mean, it's been a very good platform for me, both for streaming and for recorded video. Because it's good for the kind of stuff that I do. Because I do specific product reviews, so that's been good. All right. Well, I am going to depart, everybody, and I will be back. I'll probably stream again later in the week, so set your notifications. And if you go to my Amazon link in the video description, you can follow me there too. So good stuff. All right. Hope you all have a great afternoon. And I am going to get the wrap-up ready, and then I got to cook dinner. So I got a busy afternoon ahead of me, and I got to take the dog for a walk, which I'm going to do first. Okay. I will see you all very soon. Bye-bye. And Roger P., in case you're listening, I stream randomly, so set the notification, do the follow, and you will see me there. All right, thanks everybody. Catch you soon.